it not working?
Ah, it's working.
Ah,
Yay!
everything flashed black and then came
Yeah.
back. So
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It is the moment of truth every time we press the start button. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it halfway works. But it looks like tonight we are a go for all of our streaming choices. Anyway, so welcome back to the Author's Dilemma. It is Thursday evening, and we just, hey, you know what? We enjoy talking to each other, and we hope that you get something out of it. We're learning as we go, and hopefully you're learning something too. So I am J.E. Jack. I write urban fantasy and paranormal thrillers and horror.
And I'm Hyrum Hawks, and I write hard sci-fi and sci-fantasy, though lately I keep getting a little ADD and trying new things.
And I'm Jennifer Carr, and I write Christian fiction as well as clean contemporary romance and whatever Hyrum asks me to help him with.
That's right. She's going to end up being Hiram's ghostwriter or co-author.
Or co-author.
Or co-author.
If I knew how romances work, their structure is so weird.
Beg to differ.
Well, it kind of goes back to our earlier conversation. When a man loves a woman really much, and then in some romance novels, they don't have to.
And that's when I brought up billionaires, and yes, that was a whole can of worms.
Yeah. So,
But that actually is a really good segue into our topic, which is a little early since we should talk about our business first.
That's
That's
right.
right.
But, I find it interesting that you say that you're starting to get into writing everything. And honestly, I think as a writer, I think eventually you do, right? I mean, because once you
You do.
yeah, I mean, because now I'm like looking at different genres or different things. And anyway, okay, so what's going on in our business? Hiram, you.
Well, besides the fact that I have been so ADD lately that I can't seem to make up my mind on anything, last week was big working on a short story for Writers of the Future. I've finally had a bit of an attitude adjustment about marketing, enough that I'm listening to a podcast. I only cursed it a couple times, mostly when they talked about identify your target market, which still makes me irrationally angry, but we're working through that.
Which podcast?
I don't remember. It's one of
It was
the
awesome.
authors' marketing podcasts.
It was so
It wasn't
good.
awesome. It was good, I'm sure, but I'm still angry enough. I'll tell you once I find one that makes me happy. But the book that gave me an existential crisis last week, it's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
I read it.
Highly recommend it.
Great.
It's brilliant. And yes, you would need to read it in a time when you're ready to have an existential crisis. Turns out I was, and
Well, what about it gave you an what about that book gave you an existential crisis?
well, mainly it's that I am a classically trained person trying to shift into the romantic arts. They meant romance, not with what we were talking about a minute ago, but like
Right.
the non-sciences. And I spent 40 years entirely embedded in the classical world. I have way too many degrees. I am a scientist, I'm an engineer. Everything I've done my whole life has been basically the opposite of the creative ventures like writing. And so yeah, it gave me a bit of an existential crisis because I realized I am trying to shift, and in some ways I'm resenting my old classical world. I'm resenting the fact I still have to live in the scientific world. I mean, I spend
So-
5 days a week writing patents.
So now you could write a book about shifters using an allegory of your own experiences.
Basically, but no. Don't think that would fit. But yes.
You're welcome.
That is intriguing, but no. Basically, that was the crisis. And I realized I do need to keep both worlds. I can't throw away 40 years of scientific adventure. I mean, when I was in 6th grade, my mom loves to tell the story. I came home one day from school and I said, my teacher gave me an impossible assignment. I might have been a little dramatic even then. And my mom said, what? She wants me to write something creative. And that's a crack up to me now, but as a 12-year-old boy with utter and complete linear and just black and white thinking, that was painful. And so yeah, I'm now in the midst of resolving the two worlds, the conflict of 40 years of entirely being focused in the classical world, and now 2 years of trying to figure out a way to have the creative arts part of my life too. I got to find balance.
That's good
So-
though.
So
I
you
think
read
every
that book?
author has to balance those things at some point.
No, that's true.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
well, we're all balancing between day life and our nightlife.
Everything.
It's not how you should put that, Josh.
I know.
Woo.
By day, I am a straight shooter. By night, boy, my fingers go doing talking.
And that's the show, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight.
That's another episode, or that's another podcast. All right. So, Jen, what's going on in your world? Oh, wait. Which, by the way, Hyrum, did you have anything else? I'm sorry.
Nope, but if you're going to do Writers of the Future, you've got just about 2 weeks left before the end of the quarter. I highly recommend everybody who does not have enough published that you probably don't need to be listening to this podcast.
So, what is
enter
that? Just explain that real quick, because I'm not really sure what that is.
It is a competition that is started decades ago by some pretty big name authors, and it's continued. And authors, especially ones who've won it, become judges. But there's a lot of great, like Orson Scott Card is a judge some years, and then you got David Farland was a big founder of it. I think, who was it? Heinlein, or one of the big sci-fi gurus was one of the founders of it. So it's really big names judge it, and the winners get like a week training, a week-long training.
Oh, wow.
By some of the best authors in the world.
So is it like genre specific or?
Nope. 3,000 to 17,000 word short stories. And as long as you haven't got enough books published that you've sold like some thousands of copies, you can enter.
All right.
There you go.
So
That's
Jen,
fun.
now your turn, Jen.
Oh, now I can talk. No,
Yeah.
kidding. Okay.
Like double dutch, you know.
Here we go. Jump in. I'm in. Okay, so I recorded the last episode of Connected Conversations today. I'm not gonna lie, that was a rough ride. Like it was, well, I say it was the last. There's one that might get rescheduled from earlier that got canceled. We'll see. But right now I am done with that. All I have to do is edit and schedule. And I am not sad about that, because do you know that I love all of you people that I have talked to, but I need a break from people. Like I have peopled myself out. And so I'm good with that.
So is it you love them like God loves us, but you're not always happy with them all? Is that what you mean?
No. I mean, it's one of those things that I really do enjoy it, but it's exhausting. It's a lot of work because I put in a lot of work on the front end, and then I have to have the conversation, and I'm always on, and I am not an always on person. Like y'all see me at my on, and I need a break between the on and the off. And anyway, so I'm glad for that. So I'm glad that's done. I can focus on some other things now. And then also my Kickstarter is going. We're at 10% funded, and there's like 47 days left, I think. So I need people to get their butts in gear and head over to jcarwrites.com/Kickstarter and go turn my books into audiobooks. That'd be great, because it's expensive, y'all.
It is expensive.
Yes. Because tell us what's going on with you.
Which segue into my business. Yeah. So the narrator sent me all the audio files, and I spent the past week listening to them all. And this past weekend, last week he did that. I sent him all the updates this past weekend. He and amazingly, there was a few, issues, but he fixed it really quick, and so now it's on the 10-day. It has to go through the ACX process, and hopefully within probably this time next week I'll
reviewing. And you started after me. I'm still reviewing chapters.
So how I do it is I have my work. I have a huge screen, so it's really easy for me to do. So I have I have half my screen, my book, my manuscript, and then I have the audio on the left, and then I have another Word document on another screen to my right, where I'll listen, and if it's 99.5% there. Sometimes he'll say another word, and if it irks me too much, then I'll change it. But if it's the same and or it doesn't really matter, I'll leave it in. But yeah, that's what I do. So as soon as I come across an issue that there is an issue, I see the time, I document what needs to change, I put the time, and then I go on to the next. And so that seems to help.
It's a process.
I can get, yeah, I know it is a process, but it's really interesting because I've had such a distance between when I wrote it to where I'm listening to it again. Then I will say this: you will find every typo.
Of course.
You will find every typo.
And the jokes are funny again.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's like, I hate to say it, but this book's pretty good.
Yeah. That's how
though.
I felt. I'm like, dang, that part
Which,
made
by
me
the way,
emotional.
Yeah, which, by the way, it is Grave Disturbance, and that should be available in audio format next week. And that is a a thriller, paranormal thriller set in Pensacola, Florida. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And I started reading more. And then also this past week, I started. Okay, I told you guys this in Discord. Which, by the way, some of you need to join us on Discord, which we have not figured out how that was going to work. I know we keep on dangling that moldy carrot. But eventually we'll have a place where, those of you that want to hang out can come. But so I was under this impression, sometimes we lie to ourselves, right? We get into this, like, yes, I can write 500 words a day. And yes, I wrote 3 books almost within a year when I first started because I was writing every freaking day. And then I got to the point where sitting on the hot seat scared me, to be honest. I mean, it took me a long time to figure this out this past week. that I was like, well, no, I'm only going to write 500 words when I'm in a project, so I can kind of relax. But the problem is because every time you if you're in the gym, you're going to get stronger. If you stop going to the gym, you're not going to be strong. Yeah. And the same thing happens with writing. And so I was just really lying to myself. So the past couple of weeks, I've started writing every day again. Even with my busy schedule, I have made time to do it. And so that's been an intriguing process. And this time, after talking to one of our guests, I've just really started holding on to the discovery writing. Like, I'm writing stuff that I'm like, I have no idea. Oh, wow. So this is where this is going. Whereas before, I would kind of have that, but, I kind of knew. So anyway, it's interesting.
That's awesome. Well, that kind of leads into what we were going to talk about tonight.
That's right.
I mean, all things considered. So.
Oh, wait. Is there any news? We got to hold the suspense.
Was there any news this
Still
week?
on my social media fast.
Oh, well, it's not really news as much as it is drama. I don't know if y'all want that or not.
Yeah, sure, why
not? Have it? Okay, yeah. Sure, why not? So there's an indie author on TikTok who she put out there, she made a video about how she had ordered all of these paperbacks and signed them, and she was like, I want to sell them and all this stuff. It was a really well done video, just like it was a hook, right, to get people to go to her TikTok shop. And another creator who was even larger, verbatim, like, did her video, and the only thing that changed was the number of paperbacks that she had ordered, and did it verbatim. And so now there's this huge, and this, I'm kind of got mixed feelings about it, because I'm going, it's TikTok. People lip sync stuff all the time. What's any different than using the same script? But people are up in arms and divided over this, and I'm just like, huh.
Well, it's plagiarism. I mean, it's one thing to lip sync and to kind of give credit to whoever. Like, at one time, when I was really more thoughtful on my Facebook, I would write a lot of thoughts, and I'd write a lot of different, especially when it came to multi-level marketing. Unfortunately, yes, I was a part of one or two a long time ago, but I would write some really interesting, thought-provoking stuff. And, I saw someone steal what I wrote and pass it off as themselves. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. All right. Yeah. It's just like, it something's being stolen from you. And I don't think that's right.
It's kind of hard to say, though, because that's kind of, I mean, TikTok is notorious for that kind of thing, right? Like, I mean, once you put it out there, it becomes somebody else's almost immediately. It's so hard to hold on to your stuff.
It's true. And I get it, but to do it verbatim, I mean, like, exactly the same.
I mean, inflection and everything.
And then also, I almost feel sorry for the person, because I'm like, how stupid you are that you can't come up with original content.
That's true.
It's true. Like, and that's honestly what I thought when that happened to me. I'm like, and it didn't bother me. So, I mean, it kind of bothered me, but at the same time, it didn't bother me too much, because I know I have other stuff where these people don't.
Yeah. And that's hard, you know. Do you just say, okay, I'm done, and I'm not posting anything else, or do you just say, okay, fine, imitation is the greatest form of flattery there could be? I don't know, you know, like it's.
Well,
sue
I
them.
mean, well, no, if she's smart, she's using it to get her own brand out there. I mean, it's kind of which is what she's probably doing right now. So that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, good for her. But
Yep.
that's all I got.
All right. All right. So tonight, by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to comment and ask. Or if you want to tell us where you're watching from, we would love to say hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about how do you become better writers, right? Now, Hyrum has this theory of writing 1,000,000 words. Hyrum, tell us about your theory.
It's not my theory. It is something I learned, but it is a general rule of thumb. So, therefore, don't be offended if you're like, but my first words were great. Well, they might have been, but that means you did it better than me. See, the theory is this. It basically comes from the language learning model. With language learning, they teach you need to make 1,000,000 mistakes to become fluent in a language. I speak Korean, served an LDS mission there, and I would say I've made probably 500,000 mistakes. I'm not fluent. I'm getting pretty good. Like I can whip out Korean. However, my friend regularly sends me North Korean broadcasts he thinks it's funny, and I'm like, I don't understand North Korean. It's a different accent. And if I was going to get fluent in that, I need to make another 1,000,000 mistakes. It's totally different. But at the same time, I can understand it if they slow down. That's how language works. You just have to put in the time to get good at it, and you will make mistakes. And in some ways, this is the basis for the 1,000,000 words, is those are your mistakes. Your first
Right.
1,000,000 words are often terrible. And it's not, again, not a universal rule. Some people have other ways of getting around the 1,000,000. So I would say my first 1,000,000, I wouldn't publish. My first book was just after that 1,000,000. My second book is closer to 1.3 million or so. And I'm probably approaching 2,000,000 words at this point. The first 1,000,000 are pretty bad. And not in the sense like irredeemable, but I didn't know what I was doing. And so for me, yes, that first 1,000,000 words was necessary. Now, like I said when we were beginning,
Well, for Jen and I,
creative writing.
500,000 words. And you know what? We'll go ahead and publish that 100,000 words.
Sure did.
Yeah.
120.
Yeah. Well, but I
The
think
difference, it can be significant.
No, that's right.
That's
And
true.
everybody's going to take their own pathway. And then also, a really important part to that is your editors
Yeah.
make it better. Which, real quick,
Yes.
Justin says hello from Pace,
Hey,
Florida.
Justin.
Justin, thank you so much, man. You are a trooper. You were here almost every time, and man, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um,
I did have editors, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I didn't understand structure. In many ways, I was writing as I learned.
Oh, yeah.
So because I didn't know how to tell a story yet, I needed to learn how to tell it and I learned it by writing. Some
Mhm.
people learn it through life experience. They've been telling stories for
Yeah.
a long time. But this is an apprenticeship. That's really what it fundamentally comes down to. The 1,000,000 words is a rule of thumb. It doesn't have any literal meaning. You just like most metaphors, you can stretch it too far.
I mean, I've heard it
Yeah.
said like, it takes like 1,000 hours to become a master at something, or
Mhm.
100,000, something like that. And it reminds me of a story of, I'm sure you've heard it too, but there was a pottery professor, a pottery artisan, who was teaching a class on how to make pottery. And so he had like 60 students, and half the class he said, hey, I want you to spend all semester building the perfect pot. And then the other, he said, hey, I don't care, but all semester I just want you to make them as quick as possible. I mean, I want them to be good, but I want you to make them as quick as possible. And then at the very end of the semester, they brought them back together, and the ones that were only focusing on doing that one perfect pot were nowhere close to the quality of the ones that just pumped them out. Because anyway, it was just a really thought-provoking story that I heard one time.
That's interesting.
Because they kept on doing it, and they got better, and that's how you learn, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you start
you make mistakes. And that
Right.
really is the true lesson of this, is that you've got to be willing to make the mistakes, or you'll never write the words in the first place. Because you're going to find, like my first story, my first 40,000 words or so was a very cute story. The kids loved it. They thought it was hilarious, about a ferret who was bioengineered and was owned by a conspiracy theorist. I'm still going to rewrite it someday. It's just not yet. And it's a fun story, but at the same time, it's not the story for me. It was a first story, and I made so many mistakes in it. And looking back, I'm glad I made them, because as I was then reviewing it, I'm like, oh, I'm learning new things from other podcasts, from reading books about it, and I can see, okay, I did this mistake, I did this, and you pile them up, and then you realize I could do this better, I can do this better, and your next book is better. Every book even if you don't finish a story, you're making mistakes and you're learning.
Well, I mean, you can equate that to life too. I've made mistakes all my life.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, I'm a professional at it. But as time goes, I mean, you learn from them and you become a better person. And honestly, now looking back at some of the bigger ones that I made, I wouldn't change it, because
Right.
they made me who I am now. And the same thing with the writing process. It's like, that's. However, you also have to get over the hump of getting your stuff out in front of other people.
Yep.
Because how are you?
That's the other thing I did. I got involved in writers groups,
right,
so that I could get feedback, so that I could get people to read it that weren't obligated to tell me it was good, like my wife or my children. Even when I told them, tell me when it's not funny, tell me when it's wrong. Kids don't pay attention. Wife wants me to feel good about myself. It's
right.
Mother-in-law thinks I'm the greatest thing anyway, because I married her daughter and saved her children from Crazy Ex. And so she thinks everything I write is gold and might as well should already be in everyone's bookshelf. So yeah, getting feedback from people who don't really care if they hurt your feelings is very helpful.
Yes. Well, it's funny because, now that I started writing a lot more, I hear you talk about, the different writing groups you're a part of, and it's just like, I'm not there yet. It's funny. I'll write a book, I'll put it through the editing process, and I'll send it downrange to people I'll never, although I have, met some of the people that read my books, and that's, and that's a really unique experience. But I don't know if I would really want to get in a group of peers and be like, hey, what do you guys think? Well, it sucks. Oh, shoot.
And we're out. Thanks. Yeah.
That's the crazy part about a good writers group. And honestly, if you want to find out how to make a good writers group, watch Brandon Sanderson's class. He teaches a class at BYU, and he has a whole section of one lesson that talks about how to make a writers group. And the key to making a good writers group is that you go into it, and when you give the critique, first you say what you liked, then you say what you thought could be improved, but you don't tell how. You don't give them the thing like, do this. No, that's the worst thing you can do in a writer's group. The thing you do is, this is the emotion I felt at this point. And if they ask, you can say, well, have you considered doing this or that or that? And you can brainstorm together. That's normal, but when you go into it with emotions.
Right. It's almost kind of like a coaching session, a life coaching session, where basically you don't look to fix the problem. You look to ask questions in order for the person to raise awareness about their own problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's actually a really, that'd be like a writing mastermind. I see how it is. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess I had to find one of those, but I don't try. Yeah, I don't know. I just.
And I've only met people in person a few times.
I don't do writers groups either. I just apparently find two weirdos that I talk to one time and hang out with them on a regular basis. And say,
now we're all friends.
And now we're friends.
Who are those
guys?
It is
what it is. I know. I can't tell you, but yeah.
I hate TikTok, but I will give them that. We met through TikTok. So.
Y'all got us. Yep, that's it. That's how it works. So no, I don't know. I'm the same way though when it comes to writers groups. I'm like, one, almost always, even though, and it's like me being such a hypocrite, but I compare myself. I'm like, I do not belong here. These people are so much better than I am. They understand all of these technical terms when it comes to writing. And I'm like, my female main character is a nice person. And I don't know what, I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't talk about my own work in front of other people.
That's the beauty of a good writers group. I will put it bluntly. You do not want everyone in your group to be the same, because that would get boring. And
I also don't want them all to be better than me, but
yeah, well,
I'm going to go join a group of 5-year-olds.
But like in
Myself is great compared to these people.
in a few hours, I have my other writers group, and in it we have you're going to be meeting one of them. You've already met the other, Dan Kenner. In a few weeks, you're going to meet Kay Ross, and eventually you're going to meet the other one. I don't know what her pen name is going to be, so I won't say who she is. But all three of them have different strengths. If you met Dan, amazing at just writing, just going with no plan. I don't know how he does it. I have to revise. Then we've got every one of them is so good at some technical thing. And I'm like, what do I contribute to this group? And I realized one of the things I contribute is I am able to actually turn off my writer's brain for the most part and just be a reader and give them enthusiastic, this is what I thought as a reader. Well, some of the others in the group cannot turn off their writer's brain fully. And so they give great technical feedback, and I love it. And it's necessary, but they have to make more of an effort to just be a reader than I do. I'm great at just being a reader. Maybe it's laziness. But either way, the writers groups have great chemistry that way if you have a mixed bag of people where we're not all the same. I mean, we got people writing romance, we got people writing sci-fi, we got fantasy, we've got weird mixes of things. And, you know, it works mainly because we're all so different. You don't, and that's what part of, I think, going back to, you know, how to become a good writer is you need to surround yourself with, as Jen has, weirdos who challenge her and think very differently.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I do like to open myself up to feedback, but I'm very particular, I guess, about who gives me that feedback and who I allow into that bubble, because I'm not going to go, I will never seek out a group of strangers and be like, yes, I am here so you can judge me. Like, no, I don't.
And that's
know.
the funny part. Is they quickly don't, they're no longer strangers very quickly. And
It's like the kid at in Forrest Gump. It's like, hi, I'm Forrest. Well, you're not strangers anymore. Get on the bus. Okay.
No. See, I don't think you understand how not people person I am. So.
well, it helps that I went to high school with one of them, ran into her at a writers' convention 1.5 or 2 years ago, whatever it was, and was like, whoa, you're a writer too? I only just became one.
Nice.
Got her information.
Well, and then also another good thing about, I guess, something like that is, you know, kind of like this group with us. I mean, you become friends over time and you get close over time. And then, you know, just the general networking experience that you get is because when they know how you write and they know your stories, they're going to meet other people and they're going to be like, you know what? There's someone I think you should read. So, I mean, there is a lot of strength to that. I'm just not to that point yet. But, well, you know, I think, well, yeah, but I think the problem with me is just time commitment, right?
Yeah.
Because unless something changes or whatever, and I'm sure it will eventually, but having to write so much, and I guess you'd have to find the right group with the right tempo, with the right, you know, submissions or weekly.
I have
or
one
whatever.
group that we meet 2 hours every 3 to 4 weeks. And I have the other group where we meet weekly for 1 hour, and every 2 to 3 weeks, all 4 of us review everything that everyone wrote, and the other group, one person gets reviewed one time, and then we alternate. It's all about dynamic. So writers groups, this wasn't what we were intending to talk about, but writers groups are why I was able to
no. I mean, I think it's like a balance beam.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, you know, you're gonna have to write, but if you don't know what you're writing, or if you don't know if it's any good, that could be 1,000,000 words of crap. And so you know,
that's why by the time I finished the 1,000,000, I was like, no, this isn't great. But then my next words were the Persian Asteroid, and that's my first book, and it went through a writer's group, and it went through a lot more revisions than it would have otherwise, because I had people saying, you can do this, and I'm like, wow, it made it better. And then with the Valley of Death, it did the same thing, and then 7 revisions.
Now, I will say this: I didn't have a group, and for those of you that are like me and are kind of worried about finding people to put your stuff in front of, well, I mean, you do have to put it in front of people. Like, so there was a handful of people that unfortunately have dwindled over the years, but I'd write 5,000 words in my story in my book, and then I would at every 5,000 word increment, I would send them the updated PDF so they could read it to make my alpha readers, basically. So they could make sure that okay. Does this sound good? Does it, is this working? Are you still figuring it out? And so that really helped me with my books. So that same
From a
but
semantic
different.
standpoint, I would say it is the same. You just don't get together weekly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's without the social aspect.
Right.
Which is
But-
fantastic. No.
But make sure they're people you trust and they
Yes.
love you, but not to the point where they're going to lie to you.
Yeah.
They love you enough to be honest with you, and that's sometimes that's hard to find.
Absolutely. Yep.
And if
I'll
you
just
can
throw out
be
there-
married
okay.
to one of them, Josh.
Even better. Well, she doesn't read everything though. I mean, she does. Yeah, but she'll edit, but and that's fine. She doesn't. We're all busy.
We have a question.
Oh,
I am googling the acronym right now. I don't know that acronym.
do you guys have an
American
opinion
Ins-
concerning?
No.
Okay, so we have a
The
question from.
Association for Information Systems.
Is that a
All right. Well, real quick, for those of you that are not live with us, we have a question from Lewis Edmund Wetmore. Do you guys have an opinion concerning AIS entrance into authorship? I don't know what that means.
If the AI, if you could clarify.
Oh.
AI.
Oh.
Yes.
we all
Okay.
have
Thank you.
opinions
All
on
right,
that.
so he
AI
follows
into
follows
coffee.
up and says, "Stupid voice to text AI." I was coughing. So the
Yes, that
question
makes
is
more
this:
sense
do you
than
guys
AIS.
have an opinion concerning AI entrance into authorship?
Yes.
Yes, I think it is literally the worst possible idea, and it will eventually be completely destroyed by the fact that AI is going to eat itself. But I do come at it from I work in part of my technical field. I worked in AI, machine learning. This is not AI. If this were AI, I'd have a different opinion. This is machine learning that we've got, and it is not actually helping anyone write. It is helping people produce things that are not writing. Now, you follow up on that. Do you have opinion to people that need speech therapy?
Which he means as a joke too, because he
That's
coughed into this.
Oh,
the
yes.
text AI. At
I
least
think that AI could help them too, but
Well, and that's the thing. AI helps, and I think once you realize that AI
it's
is
a tool, not a writer.
Exactly, because we were literally just saying, I made the comment that when I was looking for comps for a query, I had gotten a comment that my books were very similar to a Karen Kingsbury novel, and it sounded like a Karen Kingsbury novel, and I was like, okay. So then I put that into AI, and I was like, what would something, and I'd used AI as a tool to make more comps available to me in that way. So anyway, as long as you go into it thinking that AI is a tool and not going to solve all your problems, then I think you're on the right track. It can help, but
Well, it's kinda
There's
like,
a meme that I can go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna say it's kind of like in some ways it's kind of like training wheels on certain things, depending on what you use it for. And then other times it's like, when you're bowling and you have those, for the kids that had the bumper
Kids?
lane. All right. For Jen, when she goes bowling, she gets the bumper lane.
yes.
But no,
Obviously.
it's true. Like I use Pro Writing Aid when I'm writing because I
But
want to
that's
see.
not writing for you.
No, it's not writing for me, but it keeps my editing
can.
to a minimum. Like it tells me, hey, this isn't right, so I can fix it right away. And
But
to
you
me,
got to have some kind of thoughts about
Oh,
it too,
no,
because
you're
otherwise
absolutely
it would
right.
make
No.
everyone
Yes.
sound the same.
like I said, I'm just going with the whole AI as a tool, not as
Yeah.
Yes.
as a whatever.
Solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's an
Yeah, no,
assistant.
It is.
I would consider AI to be a really valuable tool to help you analyze your writing and see where it could use help, but I would not consider it something that should ever be used. It's like I was about to talk about a meme. Why would I want we've got it backwards. The tech bros have it backwards. I didn't want AI. I wanted AI to do my laundry and chores, not to do my, and so I'd have time for writing and art, not the other way around.
And that's how it's turned into. Well,
And that's actually why I'm so mad at it, because I spent 40 years doing hard stuff and literally doing AI. I implemented machine learning software on gold mines in Turkey and Nevada and all over. But I do not like the idea of putting it in there, because I just finally found a hobby I really love and I want to turn it into a career. And now people are talking about AI taking it over, and like, I'm
and
not
you
going
know,
to stand for that.
but we're not the first hobby that has taken over. I mean, photography, painting.
Yep.
There was a time where I was teaching myself how to oil paint and do things of that nature, and I enjoyed it. But you spend 4 or 5, 10 hours on a painting, and then AI does it in 30 seconds, and it's just like,
yeah. But I
mean, it's not the same. It's soulless, but it sucks. Anyway.
It's still theft. That is the other part. When you use generative AI where people's art was taken, I will die on the hill that is theft. That is different. Right. Anyone who wants to have that discussion,
but then it kind of goes back to that whole
HyrumHawks.com.
Well, no, but then it kind of goes back to that whole, let's say photography, for instance. Even though cell phones or even smaller photos or cameras, they may not be specialists, but now everybody believes they're photographers. And so, as tools progress, and I don't know, I mean, as we even cars, right? I mean, they're getting self-driving cars, and what is that going to do to Lyft and taxis and all? So I think, I don't know.
Big can of worms.
Right, exactly. That's probably for another podcast, but these things are going to come out, and we have to figure out how to shift with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just be careful if you do think that you want to use AI, because you can tell a difference between an AI written book and a human written book. Like, there's a huge difference. I actually picked one up. It was earlier this year. I picked up a book and I was reading it and I was like, that is a very familiar phrase. There's that same familiar phrase. I've seen that phrase before. And you can tell that anytime, if you've ever used ChatGPT, it has its words that it really likes to use when it's trying to help you write social media posts.
Treasure trove.
Treasure trove.
It's interpolative, not extrapolative. So
right.
it has a set amount of data, could represent as a circle, and it cannot truly extrapolate to new things. A human extrapolates. AI is machine learning, therefore it interpolates. Everything it thinks,
that's a fun word.
It has already been thought.
Yeah.
Well, and then another thing I'm getting kind of worried about, not really worried for me per se, but the whole narrator issue.
Yep.
The AI voice, and it's
that's
like
getting really good.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, yes, it's great as a starving author trying to get your book out there, but it sucks because it's like, okay, I see this. Like my the guy that read my book. I mean, he did a fantastic job, and I'm gonna keep hiring him. But it's I don't know. I mean,
$1,000 minimum for a 10-hour book, and that if you're,
it is
to get a real reader.
Yeah,
that's out of the reach of some people. Unless you have a Kickstarter, like J. Carr Writes. What's the other? What's the website?
jcarwrites.com/Kickstarter.
Shameless promotion.
Yeah. Thanks.
So that's we can do it. We can overcome this time. I think authors, artists, we all just need to continue to hold the line that we don't want to let non-humans create the things that humans want to create. We want the AI to create and do the things that everyone hates.
Well, I think also it raises the bar. Because right now, it becomes more competitive because, when you first started writing, all you had to worry about was other writers. Now you got to worry about AI stuff. And so now you got to get better. So there is that.
And the artists, they just need to make sure that they don't have 16 fingers on one hand.
Yes.
Wonder if they're ever going to fix that.
I don't know. All right. We are at almost 40 minutes. Yeah. And I think we probably... Does anybody have anything
one
else?
last thing I want to say.
All right.
Again, I always want to end with some hope. You making mistakes is worth it. I know sometimes we get like hung up on being perfect. I was a gifted, talented kid that led to years and years of depression and therapy. And so I get it. If I couldn't do it right immediately, then it wasn't worth doing. Well, this is one of those cases where it actually is. You know what? The joy is in the journey with writing. It's not about the destination. Finishing a book does not bring me as much joy as writing the book did. Like, typing the end was like, whoa, that was wild. But I enjoyed the 100,000 words before it. That's what you should focus on in making your mistakes and getting better, is that you are on a journey that has you never have to get to a destination. Back to the Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. But really, the destination is the writing.
Yeah.
So it's worth it.
I agree.
All right. So, everyone, thank you so much for your time this evening, or at any time that you're listening to us. We appreciate it. Be sure to reach out to us at authorsdilemma@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or critiques, we will listen to.
We'll
read all of them.
Comments too.
Yes. Oh, and well, I don't know what we're talking about next week, but we do have a guest coming up on
The 27th.
27th, tentatively. And who was that?
K. Ross.
K. Ross.
K. Ross.
She's got a book coming out in early July.
What
She's
does she
from
write?
my writers group. It is fantasy, and
Okay.
it is a very fun fantasy.
Perfect. All right. Well, awesome. Everyone, thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you next week. God bless.